How's it going, everybody? Um, as always, we want to thank Rob Machado for our amazing theme song, but this week we will bypass it, uh, maintain the mood that I think we're all feeling after last night's events. I debated on showing the video, but I figured if you wanted to see it, you would have seen it. You would have looked it up by now. Um, Extremely scary thing last night to see Damar Hamlin collapse quite literally on the field. Um, and some of you know, um, well, we can get into that in a second, but to see that happen and now we all have to move on. And last night was too early to move forward. And I applaud the coaches and the NFL for making that decision. Because last night was too early to try and take any steps, especially not knowing how this kid was doing. Um, but the steps need to be small, they need to be slow, but they do need to happen. Sports will endure, and it should endure for this young man. That's what he spent his entire life doing and living for, was this game. And so I know that he wants the game to continue, but I also know he can appreciate the gravity of the situation. Maybe not now, but in time. Our thoughts and prayers obviously go out uh, to Damar Hamlin and his family for what they're going through right now. And what they're going through right now is watching their child, being the age I am, 24 years old, is very much child. I have a daughter older than that, as a matter of fact. So to see their child going through this cannot be easy. But let me not. We're all going to have an opportunity to speak. By all means, please hit us up. We want you to speak as well. Roop, there it is. Talk a little bit about kind of just what you're feeling at the moment.
Well, I want to, start off by saying, if you have something you want to say or get off your chest, I know this was difficult for some people to watch and see, to watch, other, grown men crying because their brother is laying there, getting CPR on the field, such a young age, and people are always like, why do you get paid millions of dollars? And well, this is one of the reasons they're high risk. People get broken bones and leave an ambulance all the time, and this one was just different with how it went down, and you could see it on the players' faces, the coaches, everybody around. I just it just seemed like it never ended. And normally you get a thumbs up or something, going out of the stadium on a cart, or going into an ambulance or something. And this time, none of that was happening. So I think that's why they decided to not do anything any further with the game. And I think that was 100% the right call. Um, it was difficult for me to see, just the everybody's so excited about the game, and then just you know hearts go out to the family. Thoughts and prayers of how devastating this was. It just, the humanity and the love and the care, and the person comes first. The game, uh, championships, wins, losses, playoffs soon for them. None of that even mattered to anybody. And it was kind of one of those moments where let's make sure this young man's okay, because we can't focus and get back into the zone of playing football. And I didn't expect anybody to. I mean, after the second commercial break, I was like, this isn't good. Like, this game needs to be called, and let these players go sit with their brother and their family, in a waiting room or something, and just give them hope. And it was, it's difficult for everybody to swallow. And of course, things will move forward eventually, but everybody's just waiting word to see if we can, get Mr. Hamlin, a thumbs up, and out of critical condition, get him at least a stable. And that's what everybody's waiting. I checked not even 5 minutes ago, hoping that give us something, and everybody's still waiting.
Something new, some kind of
Yeah.
information, yeah. Still in critical condition, still in the ICU. Honestly, to be expected. after a cardiac arrest from a traumatic hit like that. By all means, enter your thoughts in the chat. Thoughts, questions, anything like that. Just anything you have to say. Um, we're here to all talk this out together. A lot of people know, a lot of our fans, people that watch the show, that you and me particularly have a military background. I was a medic in the military for um, almost 2 decades, and so things of this magnitude are not a stranger to me, unfortunately. But even I sat in awe, sat with the same feeling. Well, I can't say the same feeling. That's not fair to say. Sat with elevated concern, shock, surprise at what I was seeing. I didn't see it happen. I turned the TV on actually moments after it happened. The ambulance was already there. I got on the group text and was like, "What is going on?" Because as soon as I turned the TV on, I saw the ambulance, which we've seen ambulances on the field before. So I
Mhm.
figured serious injury, but you don't see things like this. Um, but I saw the faces, and it cut to Josh Allen's face, who was just in absolute shock. And of course, Diggs's face with tears rolling down. And like you said, these grown men crying. When you see NFL players who are warriors of a different type, but warriors still the same, um, with that kind of emotion spilling out of them, that's an uncontrollable event for guys like this, and that tells you how serious it is. Um, and with them being down on the field, we've all read the stories. We've read a lot of the reports how the players were providing a wall and blocking what was happening. And while they do that, and that is a wonderful thing, but while they do that, they're also forced to watch what
And
is
witness it.
happening. And so many experts have talked about, this is more than just an injury on the field. This is a traumatic event. This is going to stick with these players, and honestly, it's going to resonate with players across the league. And it's easy for us to say, and probably easy for some of these players to disconnect and detach themselves and say, "Hey, I'm ready to play. Let's go. This doesn't phase me. This is part of the game. I accept it and move on." Um, but there are a lot of other players that in this time are putting themselves in the same situation. Like, that could be me,
Mhm.
is what's running through a lot of these players' heads. And so when any of the players in the NFL step back on the field, I think you're going to see that. And it's not just going to be go back out there and play on Sunday, even as Damar, recovers, and we do get the thumbs up, and I fully believe he will. I believe we will get that thumbs up. I believe we will get words of motivation and encouragement from this young man. Um, but even as that happens, with only a week to go in the NFL season and playoffs and stuff like that, you're really going to see what kind of effect this has on players, on fans, on people who saw it happen. Um, the announcers, you could see it on Aikman and Joe Buck's face whenever they showed them. If you watch Sports Center with Van Pelt afterwards, as he interviewed them, the shock is real, and it's okay to be in shock yourself after seeing what you saw. And I say that from my military medical experience.
Yeah, it's okay to have feelings of something. It's okay to feel about this, to feel sad or scared, and it's okay to open up and talk about it. Whether it triggered something in yourself, to you know make it. It's not about you, and I get that, but it's like sometimes when you see these things, it brings back something that you've gone through sometime in your life, maybe, or something that you remember seeing, or and it can bring up shocking thoughts or memories that you've gone through, and it's difficult to swallow for some people. You got to build yourself back up. And for some of these NFL players, they're going to have to build themselves back up to play next week or the week after for some teams. And they're going to have to get out there and I hate to say it, but they're going to have to suck it up and drive on. And it's one of the hardest things to do when you're thinking about some tragedy. And, it didn't just affect one person, it affected the entire team, everybody down, and everybody in the stadium, everybody on the field, and people, millions of people watching at home. I mean, I watched the show for an hour after it happened. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like I couldn't change it. It just I wanted to, like, I'm
It's
just sitting
like
in shock.
you don't see this. It's, and everybody said it, unprecedented is precedent. And again, if you have questions,
Mhm.
if you have comments, if you want to talk about Hamlin or um, it's okay to want to talk about your league, and we'll get into that in a few minutes as we progress forward. Sports endures. Sports always endures. Sports has always been there through every tragedy throughout modern history. For over 100 years, sports has been there, and it should be there, and it will be there. So it's okay to want to talk about your league. Feel free to talk about this as well. Put whatever your thoughts are in the comments. That's what it's there for. It's what we're here tonight for. That's why we went ahead and did a show tonight. Was for you, but like you said, it literally affects every player playing football at any level. If you are out there on the field and you saw what happened, because there's always the hypothetical risk of something like this happening, but now we've seen it happen. Um, and we've seen injuries. We've seen major injuries. I wear my Shazier jersey because I love Shazier. I love his story. I love what he's done after his injury. He's very inspiring to me. And that was 2017. We saw Ryan Clark on ESPN last night. Amazing insight and coverage and words to add. Having been through, some of the most traumatic things on the field, as Scott Van Pelt, said he's literally lost organs to this game. So anybody playing in this sport at any level now has to consider more than the hypothetical that something very serious could happen to you. Um, the reality is there now. They've seen it. They've seen what can happen, and that can't be easy for a young man or a veteran at any level.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Aurora says it was choking, and she was choking and taking deep breaths, and all of a sudden, football wasn't important anymore. Nothing was more important than Damar's life, and she's right. Damar Hamlin on the ground, and nobody cared about football anymore, and that was okay. That was the right thing to do. Those are the right feelings to have. I mean, you saw, Diggs trying to, pump everybody up, but it was just
the
like it
the
was like,
leadership, the
yeah.
leadership of Diggs to do that, to try and overcome, because you saw how emotionally affected he was. You saw the tears on Diggs' face. You saw the devastation and the concern on his face. And when they thought that they had to play, he took that leadership role and tried to lead his troops the best he could to get them ready to go back out there. And thankfully, the battlefield commanders, if you will, the coaches, you could tell when the Bengals coach came across the field and Sean McDermott came out on the field, you could see on their faces that they were not playing this game, that it was not
Mhm.
going to happen, that they were not going to put their players through that. They were not going to, um, they weren't going to do it. And it wasn't an act of defiance. Um, it was an act of necessity. It's what they are there to do, and that's take care of their players in every way possible. And they were determined to do that last night. And I don't think they had to fight the NFL on that. I'm not saying that.
No.
I don't think they had to take a stand. What I'm saying is they would have. Had they needed to, but thankfully, and that has been a running theme of the day, which I appreciate as well from the media. Most cases is recognizing that the right courses of action took place last night. The game was canceled. Some people criticize how long it took to actually criticize it, but you have to remember that this is um, 32 teams. This is a huge game with playoff implications across the board. This game not happening last night has implications across the entire season, from the preseason, from training camps all the way through the Super Bowl, and of course carrying on from there. So there's a lot of factors that the NFL had a lot of details that the NFL was working. I don't think the NFL ever planned to play this game. I think the officials on the field were simply following the book until they got word, and I think the officials knew that they would get word as well. But they had their job to do, and they had to tell the coaches, all right, we haven't got any word that this game isn't happening, so go ahead and start warming up until we get that word. And then we saw the coaches meet, and the word came down that we're at least postponing it. And I don't think there was much doubt that the postponement was simply so that the NFL could kind of figure things out in the short term.
Mhm.
To make sure everybody was taken care of properly, the teams and the players, and just the entire game, because that is the NFL's responsibility, the entire game. And I think that they did a great job because they took the correct course of action. They let the players go in the locker room so that they didn't have to be subjected to the media. They got rid of the press conferences. Um, and another thing, every single NFL team, the unity is the last thing before I send it back. The unity, every single team in the NFL changed their Twitter page and their homepage to
Mhm.
Bills and Hamlin. Of course, well over $5 million so far for Hamlin's Chasing Him community toy drive. You see the link there on the bottom if you want to donate to that. Um, and the page itself has put up their own comments on the situation, which is fantastic, thanking everyone. And it's just everybody uniting behind this young man, and everybody coming together, everybody just kind of taking a minute to reflect on this game and what these players actually go through and what they do. It's kind of nice not to hear all the negativity. um, and it just really sucks that something like this had to happen. And I'm not talking about gamesmanship and competition and just normal crap talking like we do. That's part of the game as well. But to see everybody kind of unite behind this, it's a beautiful thing. Again, if you guys have any comments, anything you need to get off your chest, and again, sports endure, sports moves forward, and a lot of commissioners, I've seen a ton of that today. How do we move forward? How does our league move forward? How do we as players move forward? We know it's not important. It's okay for it still to be a concern, because as a commissioner, you have a responsibility to your league and to your players, just as the NFL does. And so it's okay to be um, concerned for your league on how to do that. So if you have any questions, any comments, anything you just want to get off your chest about this or the season, please do so. I'll pass it back over to you, Ruth. There it is. I apologize
No, you
for the
do.
length of my speaking.
No, see, that's the thing. It's like you don't need to apologize. It's okay to get stuff off your chest. Anybody who needs that, it's good to talk about it. As difficult as it may be, whether somebody really important you're talking to, or just out in the wind, or somebody who won't probably ever read it again. Just it's good to just release to get it off your chest. Um, I was thinking, okay, how do we move forward? And uh, talking, because I am a commissioner in several leagues and not sure what to do to move forward. I've already reached out because I am in a championship. Like, okay, well, what do we do? Like, do we just sit back and wait? I already texted one and said, hey, we could split the cash or whatever, or we could and put our names on the trophy. It doesn't matter to me. Like, if uh, Josh Allen somehow plays this game again and they start from where they were. I wasn't sure, and it's not important because Hamlin is the importance, and I could be done with fantasy at this point. And unfortunately, these men have to get back onto the field and make their run the best they can and try to focus on how hard am I going to hit now. Should I ease up? Should I are we going to see something like a
Like a
you
Pro
know,
Bowl.
like a Pro Bowl where there's like they just go down and they stop pushing so hard, and you know, are we really going to see a targeting next weekend? Like something like that. Like, can we like how focused are these men going to be on the field? And it's going to be it's going to be really weird to see how it goes. I mean, I'm sure we're going to have tributes. I think there's one tonight in a couple of minutes at 8:55 Eastern when Mr. Hamlin went down, and next Sunday, when the games start, we're gonna hear some more of it, and hopefully we have better news then. But like I said, what as a commissioner, what do you do? You can just sit there and wait. You can talk about it in a couple weeks. I've already reached out to the one that I'm in. I said, hey, I don't care. We can split it. Names on the trophy. Call it good. I'm just in. I don't. It's not important to me. So whatever they're good with, I'm good with. Let's move on. And now let's put our thoughts and prayers and whatever you want to do to help this family. You want to help the GoFundMe. Go talk to somebody if you're upset and frustrated, or it brings something up in you. So, what were your thoughts, Chris?
I was just shocked. And again, if you have thoughts on this, or questions about your how to move forward with your league, or just anything that you want to say to get off your chest, please type that in, and let's all get through this together, because that's what it's going to take, and that's what everybody seems to be doing, which is wonderful. It's amazing to see that. But yeah, I was just completely shocked. It took me back to a place that I don't generally like to go with my military experience. But as a medic, immediately when I saw the hit, the replay, and I did have to look it up, and I wanted to look it up. Uh, when I saw the hit take place, and I saw the young man stand up and then just immediately collapse, and you see Higgins point at him, and so much discussion about the immediate response and how it did feel different, and it was frantic, and it was um, I don't know, just so intense. The response, as it would be when someone's heart stops. That what happens basically is you hit the heart at just the right time. And because the heart is an electrical machine, it has a little node on it that is electrical, that keeps it pumping, and it is possible to hit it at just the right millisecond, really, and it will disrupt that current and force the heart to stop. And then, of course, the CPR, what that does is it jump starts the heart again. I haven't heard of an electrical device being used. Generally, that's what would be used in a hospital. They have one on the ambulance, of course. I don't know if one was used or not. CPR is still capable of restarting that. You just got to pump at the right time. And again, it's just waiting for you to hit it at the right time again. And when you do that, the heart is able to start again. And it seems like that's what happened eventually. And they were able to put oxygen on them and go. And, you know, kudos to the medical staff,
Mhm.
the medical trainers and stuff, for knowing what to do and getting it done, and getting this young man's heart going again. Um, and just hopefully it was able to happen fast enough, not to cause any permanent damage. And I guess, we'll wait and see. Aurora says, thanks us for dedicating this time to tomorrow, giving people the opportunity to share their thoughts and feelings. We thank you for being here with us, Aurora, and doing that yourself, and for saying so. We appreciate you. And I just appreciate everybody that is involved in sports, and how they've reacted to this, again, with the unity and the respect, and um, seeing this young man's charity go through the roof. So many NFL players, of course, um, sending their respects. They're responsible for a lot of the money that has been contributed. It's just it's unfortunate that this event had to happen, but the response has been uh, extremely uplifting, and it's good to see humanity like that.
Yeah, I really like that. Everybody kind of came together for the charity, for the family, reaching out as much as they could. I mean, I'm sure phones are blowing up, and you can't, don't be upset if somebody close doesn't get back to you soon. You don't know what they're going through, how they're handling, whether they got a thousand messages or not. To go through anything like this and to try to respond back and not having the words to reply, or even wanting to open up sometimes, it's okay. All those feelings are acceptable. You just have to make, have the understanding that, do what you can and let it fall where it may. And hopefully, s- fingers crossed, I can get an update on my phone like, hey, he's awake and in stable condition, something, give us something. And hopefully we can hear that from the families, and um, everybody could take a breath, and
Yeah.
move forward.
The actions taken are not, they're more extreme. We hear the term cardiac arrest, which of course is different than a heart attack. A heart attack is a myocardial infarction. That is a blockage of oxygen to the heart somewhere in the body. The blood is not getting to the heart, and it forces the heart to be in distress. The heart doesn't actually stop beating right away, but it's not getting the oxygen it needs in a cardiac arrest. And myocardial infarction, a heart attack, can lead to cardiac arrest. Cardiac arrest, of course, is when the heart actually stops, and that's what happened here uh, with Damar. And so when the heart stops, the heart's job is to send oxygenated blood from the lungs to the rest of your body. Your body requires oxygen to function. Your brain requires it. Every cell requires oxygen to function. And so when the oxygen is not getting passed throughout the body, damage can occur. And that's really what we're waiting to find out here. Um, Damar is alive. His heart is beating. They have him on a breathing machine to ensure that he keeps breathing. Um, and that's because they are unaware of the damage. Um, and again, this is my medical background. I'm not a doctor. I was a medic in the Army for 22 years. I went to nursing school, obviously studied a lot of medicine and stuff like that. Does not make me an expert. However, I also will not bring up anything that I don't know about, which is why I don't get more in depth into it. But from my time also working in hospitals and stuff like that, I can tell you cardiac arrest, when the heart stops, what you're looking for is what damage was done. And so until they're gonna, they've basically induced a medical coma on Damar so that he can sleep, his body can recover, his systems can kind of reset and start repairing whatever needs to be repaired. They'll bring him out probably shortly if they haven't started doing so already. It's a slow process, and they'll allow him to wake up, try and wake up on his own, and then they'll really be able to start assessing things. So, if you, yeah, thank you, Aurora. If you have questions, again, I will answer what I can. I'm not a doctor, but I have at least seen things like this. I've experienced um, what those medical personnel have done. I've been fortunate enough to bring people back to life from things like this. So, uh, again, I can tell you what I know. I can't tell you much more than that. But that's basically where we're sitting is over the first 24 hours, first 24 to 48 hours is most critical. And we're past that again. That they've got the heart going again. He is breathing, whether on his own or from the machine, and they won't keep him on that machine long because they don't want his body to become dependent on it. So as soon as they can take him off that machine, they will. But again, the most critical time is past. We're in the next stage, and over the next 24 to 48 hours, we'll absolutely get more news about his condition and start to see, uh, you know, exactly what the damage is. So that's really what we're waiting for right now is just to see, honestly, how bad it is. I like to say how good it is, um, because I'm hoping that this young man wakes up and has some chest pain from everybody beating on his chest, and is probably going to be a little confused and maybe a little unaware of what's going on for a little bit, and then he's gonna come back around, and hopefully we'll even get to see him play football again if that's what he chooses to do. Um, it's hard to wait. We all wait together. and it's not easy. It's just not
Yeah.
easy, and it's not easy for us. So just imagine what this family is going through. It's sovereign, and it's okay for us to be going through it. I know some people say, you don't even know the guy. Why are you upset? And some people deal with things like that, and that's fine. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with that either. But it's still sombering. It's still humbling as sports fans to see this. It's again, like you said, it's okay to be going through something right now.
Yeah, and like you said, they were, doing CPR, and some saying they were doing CPR for 9 minutes or something. And I mean, CPR, you could, if very inexperienced people, they'll do CPR and try, and they could break your ribs, or it does happen. And like you said, he was gonna have some chest pain for sure.
Yeah,
And
broken ribs is normal. Probably for a 24-year-old, is probably didn't happen. He had professionals doing it. Obviously,
mhm,
his bones are much stronger, than say an elderly person or something like that. But CPR, the good thing about CPR, and this is the good thing, is that they immediately started doing it. So, what happens with CPR is you're essentially beating the heart, because it can't. And so you are still circulating the blood. You put oxygen on, you're pushing oxygen in, yeah, with a bag. The bag is hooked up to oxygen, 100% high flow. Oxygen's getting pushed in. Studies show you get about 60 to 80% of that oxygen. And the pushing of the chest, um, the oxygen goes in the body, it gets pushed into the lungs. From the lungs, it gets pushed into the blood, and the pushing pushes the blood throughout the body. So you are the heart. So oxygen was still reaching the places it needed to go, and that is a good thing. So yes, obviously you don't want to do CPR for 9 minutes, and we don't know that it was 9 minutes. That was speculation,
mhm,
and they were very
mhm.
clear on that they did not know how long the CPR had been going on, only that it was being performed and that the young man was down for whatever it was at the time, 9 minutes, 10, whatever it was. Um, but what I'm saying is, as long as CPR was going on, oxygen was getting places it needed to go. And it may not have been the same amount as if the young man's heart was doing it himself, but oxygen getting where it needs to go is super important, and absolutely dramatically and drastically um, changes, improves the chances that permanent and extensive damage will not occur because of what those professionals did. Just amazing. Um,
Yeah, especially
y-
because the ambulance. I don't know if anybody knows this, but every major event, whether it's concerts, sporting events, anything, there's an ambulance sitting on standby on any big event. You'll never see these people. They're heroes. They'll sit there day in and day out, and they just wait for that call, and they have to be ready to go in. And that's what they did, and they executed right away. So, hats off to anybody who's ever had to do that. All the workers that are working in the ambulances. Every day is chaos, and they have to go in there and handle business and saving lives. So they're heroes to me, and they came out and executed right away, and giving this man a fighting chance, because there we were just taking care of it. And I hope
yeah,
that
you know what? No, go ahead.
I hope that they were able to, get there quick enough, and hopefully saved a little bit of something, because
Oh, it was
with
amazing how fast they got there, like, because the trainers were there too, and the trainers are trained in all this stuff. So, don't think that the trainers are just throwing on ace raps and stuff. There's some of the college kids and stuff they're earning and they're learning and stuff like that. But I mean, this is the NFL. They have top-notch people, which is why the Tua situation was so alarming, because you had top-notch people making mistakes, and in this case, you had an immediate response. You had the correct response. Um, the trainers and the medical staff, there are literal doctors on the sidelines, and they immediately got in there to respond. The ambulance came over and the medical personnel and their equipment were there. The response was fantastic. The response was immediate. The actions that they took, obviously, um, um, were amazing. I'm telling you from my experience, as a medic, um, they absolutely reduce the chances for permanent data damage. They absolutely saved this young man, not just his life, but his quality of life after he wakes up and we move forward.
Yeah, and Aurora says exactly that's why empathy comes into place. Empathetic people are capable of putting themselves in a position and imagine how it would feel if that was your son, brother, best friend, etc. And I totally agree. And she also says that the first responders did an amazing job, just like you stated. And I'm sure all the medical staff. I've heard nothing but good things in the UC hospital and the
Oh
where
yeah,
they're treating the family. Yeah.
level one trauma center, fantastic. That's where you want to be. Level one is the best that you can get. So that's fantastic that they have that facility there. Just all around, if something like this is going to happen, this was the best case scenario. I mean, you had amazing medical personnel. They immediately responded. Everybody immediately recognized the severity of the situation. The NFL responded appropriately. Um, it everything just really went down the way it was supposed to. And again, if you're going to have a tragedy happen, which obviously nobody wants that, but if a tragedy is going to happen, it's just uh, comforting to see how it was handled at the time and how it's still being handled. Again, with the humanity, the empathy, and the unity, and just really everyone coming together under this event for this young man. I think that's just great.
Yeah, I'm really, you know, the sadness of it is there, but I'm really happy how everybody came together from everybody on the field, all the way to the staff and the hospital, everybody across the board. It really, you know, speaks louder than this game that they play, although it's wonderful and a dream of many, many people. Um, it's the most important thing is the human life, and I'm glad everybody responded in the correct way because it would have been bad if they didn't. Like it just and some people, are upset, and some people are, maybe even angry at Higgins or, just it, just take a deep breath, have some empathy, and just be just calm across the board. And let's just put what matters most is, Damar Hamlin on our thoughts and what's going to happen moving forward, and wait for that wake up call because that's what we're all sitting back waiting for.
Yeah, again, if you guys have thoughts, if you have concerns, questions, anything about Damar Hamlin, the situation as it happened last night, and yes, it's okay to talk about your fantasy leagues. It's okay to talk about sports. Look, we had an amazing weekend of sports up until this event. Um, these athletes and these these field warriors out there getting it done. Amazing NFL action, amazing college action. We're still going to play a national championship uh, game on Monday. The two semi-qualifying rounds were two of the best we've seen. It was just there was amazing football, and that doesn't need to be forgotten. Because that's what Damar does. This is Damar plays football. He loves football. I'm sure he watched what he could as he was preparing for this game. I'm sure he still has he's only 2 years out of college. I'm sure he still has people that he knows playing, um, and uh, it's okay to still want to experience sports, but it's again really great that everybody is able to kind of take a breath and take a break and just kind of respect the severity, the realism of what's going on at the same time, and recognize that fantasy sport is just fantasy and is just a game, and it's all going to get sorted out. That doesn't mean we can't talk about it. We can definitely talk about issues you're having, issues you've had in your league, not sure how to move forward, not sure what's going to happen, things like that. We can absolutely talk about that without guilt. Uh, but anything you have to say or put in the chat, please do so, because that's why we did the show tonight. That's exactly why we're here. We're here for you. Um, Yeah, so I love this right here. Thank you, Aurora. She says, on the joking side, she wasn't going to win first place, so she's not worried about it anymore. Um, and a lot of people immediately were not worried about it as
Mhm.
soon as this happened. And I think a lot of people aren't worried about it. Again, you talked about the discussions you see in your room. A lot of people just saying, let's just split it. Let's just, call it. Uh, um, we don't know what was going to happen, and it's fine. Um, I've seen that in so many of my leagues. Do you want to just split the money? Do you want to just, you can have the trophy? I've seen leagues that have trophies and a ring. You take the ring, I'll take the trophy. Just everybody just kind of stepping back away from it and be like, you know what, we don't need to talk about this. We don't need to worry about it. Worry about what's going to happen. Um, let's just agree to be co-champions and focus on what is important, and that's Damar Hamlin.
Yeah, and I could, I was learning a lot about Damar Hamlin, and how he's a family man, and he has a 7-year-old brother that's his, he absolutely loves to death, and I could just see Damar waking up and seeing his family there is okay. What day is it? And you know, I love you guys. I made it. And then say, "What about my brothers? The Bills. Did we win? Just something. I could just see him just like, hey, I love my family. I love my brothers. That's on the field, and he's gonna want to get back out there as soon as he can, because this guy has a huge heart, and you could tell that. So I'm looking forward to seeing him, wake up soon.
Yeah, Aurora wants to know if she can have your trophy just to kind of hold on to, and comfort her. I think you make that
Yeah,
happen.
I think I
Maybe not.
split it with the co-champion. I don't know. He hasn't texted me back, but I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with the game, so eh, it
Yeah, well,
is
I mean,
it
and a
is
lot
what
of
it is.
people are waiting, and I think that's what we should do. If you're in a commissioner situation, it really is just a matter of addressing your league and letting them know that nothing official has been decided. Most of the platforms have not really responded as to what's going to happen.
Hmm.
And maybe I've seen some criticism there, but you have to look at it from their side as well. They're probably trying to figure out what's going to happen. I did see the suspension slash cancellation policy from Yahoo. Yahoo's pretty clear about what will happen if the game is postponed versus suspended versus canceled. Um, but the NFL is still waiting to make that decision. So until the NFL makes that decision, you can't expect
Can't.
these
Hmm.
platforms to make the decision. And again, I know people that's not the first thing on people's minds, but it is okay to be on your mind. You've put a lot of work in, you put a lot of time in, and um, if you had a player going last night and you're looking for that Monday night miracle, um, it's okay to wonder, well, now what's going to happen because that game isn't happening anytime soon. Are we waiting? What are we doing? It's okay to have those concerns. It truly is. Um, but again, what I like is that everybody has kind of put those to the side right now um, in the wake of this. And I expect those questions to come up more tomorrow and Thursday as the week progresses and
Hmm.
we find out more about Hamlin and his condition improves, as I believe it will.
Yeah, when I was watching it go down, I just, I shut my computer, said, "Well, not worried about anything tonight." So this evening, when I opened it back up, it's still on the page, and I see it saying, games delayed. I'm like, okay, so technically I'm ahead, and I didn't win, I didn't lose, and I'm like, okay, so it's delayed, and like some things like weather related thing games, lightning's too bad, or there's flooding going on, or whatever, and they just say, well, this is it, so and so wins because they're currently ahead. And it could end up being Bengals win or a tie, however NFL wants to take care of it, or they'll try to replay it, which is going to be really hard this late.
Mhm.
And
A lot of
you
people, I think,
just
would
gonna
have
have to wait.
expected if that game was going to continue to happen before or on Thursday night football. And I
Mhm.
think that could have been a viable solution. They could have played on Thursday and then had their Sunday game moved to Monday, or even Tuesday next week, Wednesday, later in the week next week to allow time to prepare and stuff. I mean, they've done that before. They've moved games to other days of the week. So you could have seen that happen, but the NFL has made it clear that this game is not getting played this week. They're not going to make the players do that. Um, and I really think that is a lot out of the respect of not of wanting respecting the players' need to know how Hamlin is doing before
Mhm.
they play again. Um, and you and I know, as military folks who've experienced traumatic things, when that stuff happens, it does affect you. And so these players are all affected. Every single player, I said earlier in the show, every single football player at every level, at every age, is affected by what happened last night mentally. Um, and before they step out on a football field again, and again, we talk about the college championship coming up on Monday night. These are kids. These are all Damar. These kids are around Damar's age. They're maybe younger, but they're not much younger. They're in the same health. They're in the same condition. They still have that immortality. Mental concept about themselves as we all kind of did at that age, and to see this happen, it's going to affect them mentally. And so it's going to be hard for football to happen until Damar wakes up and we get that thumbs up. And I think you're going to see a big change when that happens, and I do believe that's going to happen. I believe Damar is going to wake up. I think we are going to get that thumbs up, and as he gets better, football will get better. Um, and that's just a reality situation. Football rests, the mentality, the mental well being of football rests with Damar Hamlin right now, and that's not putting it on him. That's just the reality of the situation. As Hamlin gets better, so will football, and we just all kind of wait for that to happen. Again, if you guys have anything to say, any questions, any thoughts about Damar or your league or anything else, feel free to put them in the chat. That's why we did the show tonight, is to discuss things with you and help you process things and help you get through it, and answer your questions. Because again, sports endures, football endures through every tragedy. I mean, 9/11, JFK assassination, world wars. Football has been there. Football's over 100 years old, well over 100 years old. Um, and no matter what has happened, regardless of a break, um, uh, football has always been there, and football will still be there for us. So it is okay to believe in football. It's okay to still want your football. It's okay to still desire to move on, but we'll all do it slowly and we'll all do it together. So again, um,
Yeah.
put
I was
put your
go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was going to say, you and I both being in the military, we've seen some things and been through some things that are traumatic, and some of these things are not get over it in a few minutes or get over it in a day. Some things take time to process, and for everybody out there that needs to speak up and needs to talk about it, go right ahead. And you're right. Football has been around for over 100 years, and through a lot of tragedies. And you take a little bit of time off, and you say, what, I'm ready to feel and be in the moment, and I'm also ready to like be that soldier out on that battlefield, or be the NFL player. Like, I'm gonna go win this one for Damar, and those speeches are coming, inside those huddles. I could just see it. You just see the drive in them. Um, and it's gonna happen. Like this everything's gonna move forward, and everybody can move at their own pace. It doesn't mean you have to move on today. Doesn't mean you have to be ready by the time the Super Bowl comes. It just, whenever you feel the need to just say, okay, I can breathe a little easier today. That's okay. That it's your pace. It's nobody else's. Nobody can tell you any different. You're ready for football today. That's on you. If you want to wait a day or so, that's fine too. Um, and if I picked the Bills to win the Super Bowl, and I still believe it to this day that they are going to do so. Um, and if Damar is healthy enough to play, I'm sure he will. And if he's still recovering, then he's still recovering. But I think that, everybody has their own pace. Everybody loves the game of football that, watch, go to games, play, and it's okay to feel, it's okay to talk about, it's okay for a love of the game, and that's what we're here for.
And it's okay to want the game to resume. I remember 9/11. I remember when it happened. I think they
Mhm.
took a Sunday off,
Mhm.
and then they kind of got back to playing, and it was slow going. And then by the end of the season, football carried us through, and the difference here, of course, is that the event took place in football. So again, as as Damar gets better, which I fully believe he will, as Damar gets better, so will football, and so will everybody. Again, I fully believe in the next 24 to 48 hours, we're going to start being able to kind of breathe again and talk again. Doing the show tonight, I think, was necessary. Um, because it's one of the first steps. It's one of those first steps that you have to take in moving forward, and it's not. I think the importance again, as Aurora brought up, is to do it with Damar in mind. He is the focus of our show tonight. Football is still there. We'll still talk about your leagues if that's what you want to talk about. We have no problem with that, no judgment, because we should be talking about those things. You should still have a love for your league and for your championship, or um, just anything related to sports. But again, we'll all take it slow and we'll all do it together, and it's gonna be okay. Um, Damar Hamlin in the hospital, heart stopped, brought back through CPR, through amazing medical service on the field, still in the hospital. From my 2+ decades of medical experience, I can tell you fairly normal what is happening, although it shows the seriousness that he was put into a medical coma and on a breathing tube. However, that's uh, not atypical of this situation. Um, they're going to let his body heal a little bit. They're going to give him the oxygen he needs for his body to heal internally. Over the next 24 to 48 hours, they will start weaning him off that, allowing him to wake up and assess the situation from there. But I fully expect the thumbs up and the positive looks and gestures to come in the next 24 to 48 hours. And again, as he heals, we all heal together. I love the unity that we have seen just across the league, across players, across. It's summary because we all play this game of fantasy football and we watch it. We watch football every week. We watch with passion. We criticize our players when they underperform, and it's all in fun. And we forget the seriousness of it. We forget the injuries to Ryan Clark, to the all the ACLs. Christian Okoye and Davis and Anderson. We forget the Achilles tear that Dalton went through, all these injuries because we see them all the time. And then something like this happens, something we know can happen, but have not seen happen yet. And it's just tragic that we have to see it, but now it's alive, it's there, and we have to deal with it. And these players have to deal with it. But we're going to do it together. And that's what I love about this game is no matter what happens, um, we're still all united in this game. All the NFL teams changing their Twitter pages and home pages to Bills logos and supporting Bills and Damar Hamlin pictures and images. Of course, NFL players just flooding um, his foundation. You see it there at the bottom of the screen, the Chasing M's Foundation community toy Drive Foundation. There's the link if you want to go help out. It's the unity that's inspiring to me, and yeah, that's what's going to get me through personally.
Yeah, and again, I want to thank everybody that assisted, and Chris, thanks for your knowledge. I know you have decades of knowledge, and it didn't just stop,
It
with
sounds
the
so much more
military.
important when you say it. It might be might have been overstated.
My
Yeah.
one and only gift is good with words like 10% of the time. Um, but like, just it's good to, like, hear it from your mouth, because I'm over here like, yeah, I think I know what that is. And then I've looked up this and looked up that. And sometimes you can, like, just explain it a little bit better and break it down for, everybody who just minds in chaos and can't focus. Sometimes just easier to hear from somebody, which is goes back to the mental health thing. Is like, it's okay to go and talk to somebody and work some of these thoughts out. And because sometimes your brain just maybe just not firing on all cylinders, like be a little confused. And this will help, just talking it out and hearing from a buddy, a friend, spouse, whatever, family member. Um, just kind of helps get through some of the confusion, if you will. And I really am happy that everybody came together, um, through the medical staff, players on the field, people going and donating, um, to Damar's foundation, and I think it's 4 or 5 million by now, and it was
It's over
by
5. Yeah, it's
yeah,
over 5 before at the start of this podcast, so
yeah, and
mhm.
and it was a couple thousand, yesterday. So
Yeah,
that speaks volumes of everybody coming together. Um, I'm happy to
almost
see it.
6 million.
Yeah, so I'm happy to see it. Like, yeah, almost 6 million. That's like amazing. Is they made like 1 million tonight.
Yeah,
Um,
fantastic.
so that's really really wonderful. And just to have everybody come together, it just it's moving, if you will. So
Yeah,
um,
embrace the humanity of it.
yeah.
Recognize the wonderful things that are going on. Don't get focused on people that try to bring negativity because it's not worth it. There's so much positive going on here. Um, embrace it and ride it as long as we can. Um, let's see. Before we sign off again, thank you for everybody. Again, if you have comments or anything like that, there is a national championship game happening on Monday. I know I'm supposed to take Georgia because they took advantage of the opportunities that my Buckeyes gave them, and they were able to overcome the adversity and win. So them knocking out the Buckeyes, I'm supposed to root for Georgia. I will not be doing so. I will be rooting for TCU, just as I was as they beat that team up north, which was fantastic to see as well. And I look forward, honestly, number first and foremost to Hamlin waking up. Because I think that's going to be the absolute most important event that takes place this week, is him waking up and us seeing him begin his recovery process. I think it's going to be amazing. I think it's what is needed, and I can't wait for that to happen. Once that happens, it's going to be great to see people kind of relax and breathe and just see how this game starts to again endure and overcome the adversity that has been placed in front of it, just as it always has. And that's why I love this game, and that's what I'm looking forward to. Again, I'll be taking TCU for the national championship. Root, what say you as we finish this?
Um, you knew I was going TCU all the way. Um, I just didn't want to see what really transpired, but I'm even more motivated now. Before it would have been, if it was Buckeyes, it'd have been you versus me, and that'd have been fun. But now we'll be on the same side, and I'm all for it. Um, and there was, a lot of great football played, and we had a tragedy strike. And if you got to talk to somebody, please do. But um, I'm going to take the TCU when games start up again, and this weekend I'm going to do what I always do. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to watch all those hardworking men on the field, and the women that also, because there's coaches and all the personnel, the referees, and so men and women on the field, and just see some people play some football, and um, just kind of try to get back to the norm, and have Mr. Damar Hamlin wake up, and just drive on and come together as a community, and move forward and build this together. and I'm really looking forward to that. I liked how everybody came together, and it's gonna make me sleep a lot better tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. We're always on the same side, and I think that's something we've all learned through this. We are all on Damar Hamlin's side. We are all on the side of his family, and we are all on the side of sportsmanship and just general love of the game, as we are all people who do love this game and we love the players that play. We wish Damar Hamlin the best. We wish all of you the absolute best. Be safe and have no fear. Football will endure, and we all will move on. Our prayers and wishes to Damar Hamlin. We cannot wait to get that thumbs up, and I know it will happen. You guys all be safe. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week on Yards After the Catch. Keep yakking football, everybody.